What is your reaction to all that? I think you're going to have a very unique take.
Here's what I think. I think these people are goofy. They have the right to their opinion, but they're just goofy. They hate George Washington and Thomas Jefferson and Abraham Lincoln and Dr. Seuss and Mr. Potato Head. They think our kids ought to be able to change genders at recess. They carry around Ziploc bags of kale to give themselves energy. To me, to each his own. To me, kale tastes like I'd rather be fat. Mr. President, Louisiana, like all of our states, is working as hard as we can to improve K through 12, elementary and secondary education. We used to have the best system of elementary and secondary education in the world. We still have the best system of higher education in the world, bar none. Kids from all over our planet want to come to America to go to college. I know our universities have problems. We've got to do a better job, in my judgment, Mr. President, with encouraging our universities to allow the free exchange of ideas, the dialectic through which we get the truth. But I'll save that topic for another day. Our problem in America is elementary and secondary education. And it's frustrating, Mr. President. We've made some improvements, but not nearly enough. It's frustrating. Americans can do extraordinary things. Americans can unravel the human genome. Americans can take a diseased human heart and replace it with a new one and make the thing beat. Americans can send a person to the moon and bring that person back safely. But we can't seem to teach all of our kids how to read and write and do basic math when we have 18 years to do it. And I know you know what I'm talking about, Mr. President, because you, in a prior lifetime, have been in the trenches. And yes, we've made progress, but it is so frustrating sometimes.
All of those things John Kennedy is talking about required public funds. Even the quote-unquote private businesses who've done wild things relied on public funding to get them done. I mean, look at Elon Musk and his rockets.
The unhappy fact, the miserable fact, is that too many of our schools in America and in Louisiana are failure factories. They're failure factories where violence is common and learning is rare. But there are a few states. There are a few states that are bucking the status quo. And they're doing it in part by adopting school choice programs. And so far, they've seen a lot of success. Now, school choice programs, school choice, I realize it's a broad term, school choice programs can take many different shapes. But they all boil down to one thing, one foundational principle. Parents should be allowed to take their kids out of failing schools. Parents should be allowed to take their children out of failing schools and put them in schools that can help those children thrive and certainly do better.
When he comes up against people who see through his act, that's when things get interesting.
Should the mother, at that juncture, have the right, clearly a viable child, to abort the child? My example is not unrealistic.
I think that
if your answer, I'm going to save my time. If your answer is going to be that never happens, let me go to Ms. Fry. What do you think?
Well, Senator, first of all, if you don't ask a question if you don't want to know the answer. And I think 1%, but I'm saying to you, Senator, 1% of abortions happen at 21 weeks or later. So I think the premise of your question sets up a conversation about abortion that is unfair. It is rarely is that ever the instance. The vast majority of pregnancies and abortions that are considered late in a pregnancy have to do with severe, devastating medical circumstances. And I understand your point, Senator. I understand your point. But with all due respect, I also think the chances of people sort of getting all the way through a pregnancy and just sort of saying, I don't want it, is disrespectful to women.
Here's what I've always been confused about. Didn't you understand the chilling effect that it would have to parents when you issued your directive, when you directed your criminal divisions and your counterterrorism divisions to investigate parents who were angry at school boards and administrators during COVID?
Senator, if you just give me a moment to put the full context, I did not do that. I did not issue any memorandum directing the investigation of parents who were concerned about their children. Quite to the contrary, the memorandum that you're talking about says at the very beginning of the memorandum that vigorous public debate is protected by the First Amendment. And the kind of concerns that you're talking about are, as expressed by parents, are of course completely protected. The memorandum was aimed at violence and threats of violence against a whole host of school personnel. It was not aimed at parents making complaints to their school.
You are the executive director of the Arab American Institute, is that correct?
Correct, sir.
Okay. And according to your website, you're also, I'm going to quote here, a longtime Democratic Party activist who served as a member of the 2016 Democratic National Convention's Platform Standing Committee, close quote. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. You support Hamas, do you not?
Senator, oddly enough, I'm going to say thank you for that question because it demonstrates the purpose of our hearing today in a very
Let's start first
way.
with a yes or no.
Hamas is a foreign terrorist organization that I do not support, but you asking the executive director of the Arab American Institute that question very much puts the focus on the issue of hate in our country.
Well, I got your answer, and I appreciate it. What is the... You support Hezbollah, too, don't you?
Kennedy uses this performative country boy naivete to say some truly terrible things under the guise of just being a simple man using common sense. But it's an act. And yes, it makes for wild sound bites and great ratings, but it is still insidious and dangerous. He is cosplaying as a stupid guy in a room full of legitimately stupid people. He was actually a Rhodes Scholar, got a law degree from Oxford. He's not actually stupid, but he knows the way to win elections and court his base is to act the part. Louisiana ranks amongst the worst states for public education in America, and rather than increasing funding to help underserved students who need it, Kennedy's answer is school vouchers, stripping what little funding is provided to public schools, and siphoning it away to private schools. A few months ago, Louisiana Governor Jeff Landry signed legislation creating the state's first education savings account program, the ESA, effectively giving state money over to private education companies. There are no income requirements to receive the ESA, so rich parents who already pay for private education will simply be getting some tax dollars to cut their costs, whereas public schools are required to track the progress of the students and provide data regarding demographics and expulsions and other things we want to know and we want to track. There's little to no accountability for these charter schools. After receiving perhaps one of the best educations in the world from a publicly funded university, John Kennedy is selling the future of Louisiana's children to the highest bidder.